Subscribe to Rootstem Gaming before the 1st of April to be in with a chance to win a fully painted 2018 Chaos Noise Marine. Hi guys, welcome to Rootstem Gaming. This is another painting tutorial. Basically, I'm going to be building a Necron tomb Sentinel. They look like giant centipede-like spiders. They look pretty cool, but there's a hell of a lot of legs in here. So this is going to be a bit of a pain in the backside to actually build. It is a commission piece, and I'm going to put the first bit online, so you're going to be able to see how I do my bases. So this is basically a basing technique, and then the rest of it is going to be available exclusively through the website. That's rootstem.co.uk. So if you're here for the basing, stay put, and I'm just going to basically show you how we're going to get a unique looking base with not a lot of work to it for this particular tomb Sentinel. So the base is a standard oval sized base, ones that you tend to get with flyers and such in. It's not a bad size, and what I've done, I've got a nice long bit of it's like slate. You tend to find this type of similar stuff like you can actually see in Morrison's car park, but you can get quite a big bag of it from like B&Q and various other places. Sorry for the shadows there. I've put some little bits box in because of course I collect Imperial Guards. So we've got a couple of discarded lasguns. One of the lasguns I've chopped in half, make it look like a tomb Sentinel has chopped it in half with its blades. And I've then put a little Aquila down, and then I've got half a marine shoulder pad, and on here I've super glued some skulls in. Now these skulls are amazing. They're actually from Green Stuff World. So these are your resin skulls that you can get. I don't think the light's in the greatest position here, so apologies. These are the resin skulls that you can actually buy from Green Stuff World, and as you can see, they're quite good detail for such a small one. I've all got little bits of scars. You get 2 of these in the set. Some of them are even laying on the sides, and some of them are partially buried. Some of them are missing jaws, some of them have got jaws, some of them have not even got teeth. They're really, really nice, just little bits for you to add to your miniatures, and a little pack will last you ages. Right, so we're going to prime this base black, even though we're going to be priming the model silver. We're going to be doing that off the board. And then we're going to be hitting it with the airbrush. Now with Forge World resin models, I do advise that they do need to be washed before you assemble them. So I'm going to get my trusty toothbrush. Thankfully this is not the one I clean my teeth with. I do clean out the airbrush with this as well. So this is an old toothbrush, and we're going to go dip that into some soapy water and get it cleaned. So these are the parts all nice and washed and drying. I do recommend keeping them on the sprues because let's look at the size of them. Absolutely tiny to go onto this body, and this body is in a hell of a lot of segmented pieces. Now I always recommend to let this air dry. I don't force dry it with a towel. I leave it on a towel of course because of what surface that it's going to be on, but I do recommend that you let this dry naturally, and then of course you can always trim and cut. And make sure that you're cutting the pieces off, and I use a big file to file them down as well. Now with resin, it can be very awkward, and it can be very difficult to cut. So you should always use your clippers and very, very gently separate. It is a soft material. It can be warped by heat, and if you've got any excess, just make sure you clip that off. Now I'm wearing gloves because of course I'm going to be filing this. So I've got a nice big file here with with a plain edge and a file edge. This is mainly so I can get in to file the figures down properly. Now basically just file that off until you're happy with it, happy that it's nice and smooth. And check for any other pieces that might be out of line, or of course any other flash that needs coming off. That seems alright. We're just going to do the rest of it now. Now just before you clip everything out, Just want you guys to be aware that some of these have got numbers. So I'm going to be clipping these out when I'm building them. I'm not going to be clipping them out beforehand. I'm basically going to be clipping these out when I'm building them. Now hopefully you'll be able to see, so you can see them two say 5, them two say 6. And it's same with these are completely different, 3 and 4 based on the instructions. So certain parts, and some parts can be quite fiddly, like these little antennae. They may, you might lose them or you might break. So at the moment I'm going to keep them on the sprues. And I'm going to have a look at assembling this across our base. Just so we can see how this is going to lay out on this stone. So what I'm kind of doing now is a dry fit. I'm wanting some of the body to at least touch part of the base, because I don't want it to be relying on those spindly little arms to be able to stick down. So I'm trying to make sure it's not just one curve. I want the whole curvature. So I'm going to try and follow that as best I can. I know it's fallen to pieces, but now we've got to do the super glue thing. Woohoo! So I've glued it in. You actually do get 4 extra legs for positioning. And what I've done is, it's not glued to the base because the base is going to be painted separately. But I've kind of rested it and then put the legs on separately. And I kind of know the positioning of where certain things is going to go, so that it will actually balance on the rock that I've put it on. And that will give it a nice sort of basing effect. Now underneath, all them legs and all them little tiny bits there, they're all separate. It's not it's an easy build because it's easy to take out. It's not like when you do a Spartan. They're painting back. Well, the old Spartans with the tracks, they were an absolute pain. But these, this has been quite good. I can see them breaking quite easily though. So just going to have to be careful with those. Just about there. So that's going to get glued on after. Now I'm going to go away. I'm going to spray that silver. Got Necrons, of course. And this is going to get sprayed black. So next, I've already sprayed the insect bug silver. I'm just going to put a little bit of mecha varnish thinned out with airbrush thinner over the entire figure. Now this is mainly to stop sometimes when you put Nuln oil on top of a silver from the spray can, it doesn't work properly. I know it sounds weird to say, but it doesn't. So I'm going to apply a little bit of this, let it dry, and then we're going to coat the figure in Nuln oil. So the base has been sprayed black. I'm now going to put Rhinox hide. I'm going to call it BCU Brown, which is the old name. I'm going to spray it completely with Rhinox hide and just make sure that it's fully covered. So next up, we're going to hit it with some, hang on, Scrag Brown. I want to call it Beast. I want to call it something completely different. Skaven Fleur or something. I'm going to hit it with some Scrag Brown from a distance and just make sure that I'm just getting angles from above. Next up, we're going to hit it with your Shabty Bone. So next I'm going to just dry brush Tyrant's skull all over that. It's got a nice pattern to it. That'll pick up and highlight everything I need on the actual model using a large dry brush. And of course it's Tyrant's skull dry paint. You always wipe it onto kitchen roll. Right, let's get cracking. Next step, standard your Shabty Bone. Going to be doing it in my wet palette. I'm just going to put and actually paint all these lovely little skulls that we added. Next up, painting the lasgun with black, and then I'll probably do some blending up to just with an edge of Dark Reaper. So as you can see, I've done the black with a little transition, nothing major, just something. The next step, I'm going to paint the little Imperial Eagle that I've put on there, and it's going to go from brown to Avalon Sunset to Flashgate's yellow. Here we go. Okay, we kind of skipped ahead a few steps. I've put Seraphim Sepia on the yellow, just to blend it up, and on the skulls. And as you can see, all I've done there really with them is just paint them. I don't want to go too much on the base. I've just layered some blow up for the shoulder pad, and of course I've just applied some silver bits onto the las guns just to make them look like proper guns. And they'll be all broken up and scratched and worn. We'll get some grass on there, some static grass, and then the base should be complete. So next up, we're going to hit it with some Stormhost Silver. This, of course, has just been thinned down just to be able to be using your airbrush. I'm just going to go over the top of it. I'm not going to sort of do any underneath, but I'm just going to go over the top at an angle just to create a highlight. so we've done the silver. That should have a nice look to it. Next we're going to be using a stencil, hex stencil from Fallout Hobbies. Ooh. And we're going to basically mix a little Stormhorse silver with some Teclis blue. Make sure it's nice and thick, because when you're using a stencil, if it's very thin, it'll run underneath. And I'm trying to just get a little bit of hex pattern on the actual figure itself. Now, I've done both sides, and it's just basically giving me some little blue dots. Just mechanical, just hex, just to make it look like it might be a little bit different. It's just to add a bit of texture or detail, because Necron figures to me tend to be pretty much one-dimensional. They tend to be one colour. Now what I'm going to do is to run as well, very faintly, I'm going to run the blue hex from the end all the way up and into these little recesses. I'm probably going to mask off both sides. This is to make sure that, and then I'm not going to do anything on that because I'm going to try and get a HAL 500 look on that light bulb. But that's to sort of give a nice sort of shading effect. We're going to run a bit of ink inside it and then run some black over some of the top. So, well, hopefully I can get this done quite quick. So next, after now we've got all the blue, as you can see, it just runs, oh, there we are. As you can see, it runs into the spine and into these ridges. I'm now going to just quickly dry brush it with Necron compound before we move on to the black. So I've detailed the black in. I've just run a bit more blue into some of the recesses, and this is because, of course, the commission requires a silver with blue trim and black, which is why I spent a lot more probably time on the base than I am on the actual model. I am going to do a HAL 9000 on the ore blends, so we're going to have a quick spray red, little tiny bit of orange, and then a little orange dot. I'm going to try and get it as neat as I possibly can. I think that would actually look quite cool to have a sentient robot basically having the same sort of like image as HAL. And I'm actually, sorry, I forgot to say what I'm using. The Feasting Red first, and then a little bit of Fire Dragon Orange for the little dot. So I've sprayed it as close as I can, as little as I can for the outer red, and then just put a little orange dot in the middle. So we've got kind of like a HAL 9000 or HAL 40,000, hey, on the actual Tomb Spider. I'm not going to be doing much else to that. The scheme that the guy wants is pretty much similarly done. I've got the little hexes on. Like I said, the hexes you can actually get from Fallout Hobbies. It's .com. It is an American company, but they do international shipping. So if you're in the UK, France, Germany, they will ship out to you, and they're pretty decent as well. They do a lot of stuff on there. There's a hell of a lot of transfers and airbrush stickers that you can get. Right, next up, let's get this based. So I've glued the figure onto the base that we designed earlier and painted. I've actually used PVA glue to make sure that the connection between the figure and the base is solid and transparent, so you're not going to be able to see any glue marks on there. which you can actually sometimes have when using super glue on these type of figures. As you can see from the images, I put grass on, just some standard static grass, using your PVA glue around the sides. This is more of a personal preference. If you're wanting to use something else or just leaving the base without the grass on there, you can do. Completely up to you. Well, thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification button for more on YouTube. There will be more exclusives coming as well to the website, so stay tuned. I'll make sure that any subscribers are emailed when new content is uploaded. Well, thank you very much, guys. We'll see you next time.